Hey everybody, welcome to Obscurities and Miniatures. Today I just got a bunch of baggies in the mail from España, from Zenit Miniatures. Recently they had done a Kickstarter for some new models for their Japanese samurai line of Kensei figures, in addition to reprinting a lot of the older models that have been going out of print. And I happened to get an assortment here of figures, as well as bases. Nice bases, but I don't think I'm going to use the squares just because I like having the circles for Test of Honor, so I'm going to hold on to those. But let's take a look at just what I ordered because I don't remember. It's been a while. Alright, our first is a... Oh, you're wearing a mask. I was like, I don't remember ordering any Oni. This is a big dude. Now, Kensei is more along the lines of true 25 millimeter. So our friend here is quite the big boy. I'll have to grab a couple of other figures once I get the chance to, and then obviously I think he's supposed to have his Kanabo over his shoulder. Have you noticed? Some of you have noticed. I'm aware of that. I have a thing, a fondness for big metal clubs. We couldn't resist that guy. I think he was a newer model. What do we have in here? Okay, well that's interesting. You look like you're falling apart. Are you an undead one? You might be an undead one. Or maybe that's just... I don't know what's going on in his belly there. Maybe this is some kind of emblem? Because everything else looks like it's in one piece. You're not wearing any pants, though. You're fighting with sickles, comma or something. Interesting. And then he has a nice, thin little sword that's going to get attached somewhere. I'm really not sure. I don't know what's going on there on his belly. You know, maybe I'll throw some ink on it after I glue it just to see. I can't tell. Ah, maybe it's just a dragon emblem, now that I'm looking at it. I'm waiting for it to get back. There's like the head, and it's like twisting around or something. I don't know. I don't know. Looks neat. Alright, do we have another Lone Wolf and Cub? Kozure Okami type guy here. Shogun Assassin. Little straw hat. One thing I dislike about the Kensei line is that the weapons tend to be much more realistic in the sense that they are tiny and thin and easy to lose or break. Sculpt quality looks nice though. Makes me think like Shinsengumi or something with that jacket. Some hoity-toity samurai type. Alright, what do we got here? You got some fancy armor. Is this from their Chinese armies? I'm thinking it might be. His armor looks quite Chinese. It looks pretty cool. Zenit did put out a series of armies of China. One of the very few. Is that the correct hand? I'm not sure. Yikes, again. That is the problem with these models, is they can have very thin parts, and I do not want to break it already. We'll be careful with that one. It's like the fourth figure we opened up here. We're running out. Oh no. Okay, rustic looking dude here. Got the face mask on. Nothing on his arms, but he does have a big cannon with him. That should be fun. Because you know what? I love pinning arms onto two-handed weapons onto bodies. That's my jam. My jam is what I absolutely try to avoid. Can't stand it. A torso! Cool. Actually, it is cool. This is one of the ghost guys I really liked. I wanted to paint one of their Yurei type. So I believe he's supposed to go like that. And then this dude has done away with those silly little regular sized weapons and gone big ol' giant swords for slicing and dicing. And then he's got his little antler crest that's going to go on the top. So, give me a moment. We will put everybody together, or at least we're going to attempt to, with probably much cursing and swearing as we try to get that cannon lined up. But that's half the fun, right? I will grab a bunch of other models. We'll take a look at how everything stacks up and turns out, and sit tight, and we'll show you what we got. Alright, we got all our Kensei models hastily primed and hopefully ready to show off. So, some of them were a bit easier to put together than others. We'll start off with Kyogen here, the Undead Hero. This guy was the main reason I wanted to back their latest Kickstarter, was because he had been impossible to find and he just looked really neat. Now, his arms did not want to really cooperate going in, but you can't really tell that now. I think I got everything all nice and dealt with. You could put him on a smaller base. I want to say they came with square bases anyways, but I think he looks pretty decent with a 40mm one to float above and menace everybody else. The second guy that I really was interested in was nicknamed Kyogen, wearing his monster mask and carrying a big metal club. He is on a 30mm, but could probably fit on something smaller if you really wanted to, or bigger if you wanted to go that route as well. Me personally, I have no plans on ranking up any of these dudes, so that's okay. But he's quite tall. Here, let's get the Taiho Zutsu hero. I had the hardest time figuring out how to put his gun together, but I think I figured it out. And he is wearing a mask, so keep that in mind. Head didn't want to go on as nicely as it should have, but here you can see he is like barely up to Kyogen's waist. And they both are definitely smaller than our Kyogen Undead Hero. Another big guy here is Turgot, wearing some interesting armor. I don't know if he's supposed to be undead or something. I don't think so. It's more like a pirate bandit type. He's got a huge stance. Now, he may not be as tall as our Kyogen friend there, but he is probably just as wide, if not thicker. Maybe if he was standing fully upright, he might be as big, but he's not, and he's also barefoot. So, something to keep in mind there. Here we have Xiangguo, if I'm saying his name correctly. One of their Chinese-style models. Not something we see much of, unfortunately, in the scale that we all tend to game at, especially with a more skirmish hero-like heroic look to it. They are compatible with Kensei, and Kensei does have fantasy elements anyways, so something to keep in mind. There are a few Chinese models within the line already, and then finally we have our little spy guy. I spy with my eye a very warped and bent sword. That's one of the major downfalls with these figures. I've always had a hard time with the Zenit stuff when it comes to bendy weapons. Had a hard time with a lot of my Nemesis stuff, the Kensei stuff, besides these figures I built. And if you're curious about how they stack up, honestly, they're really good with a lot of the other Metal Fantasy Japanese-style models. Both old and new. So here's an old Scorpion model from Clan Wars with Legends of the Five Rings. Here are some Bushido guys from the new 2-player starter set. And my favorite Toshiro, I think his name, no, Mifune, I don't remember if it was Mifune or Toshiro, but obviously it was inspired by the legendary actor and is overladen with all sorts of weapons. But they fit in pretty well size-wise, I'd say. So if you wanted to use them in games of Ronin, games of Kensei, games of Test of Honor, I think they'll fit in pretty nicely. So definitely another avenue to explore, at least until we get some nice, solid plastic samurai and ashigaru type models. And I'm hoping, I'm praying that sooner or later somebody's gonna, tap into that untapped market. It'll be a gold mine, I think. I think there's definitely a desire and need for it on the tabletop. But at least we've got companies like Zenit here putting out a variety of both fantasy and historically inspired models from the Far East. And hopefully we'll continue to do so as well. With that said, this has been High Lord Tamberlane with Obscurities and Miniatures, saying thanks for watching, and we will see you back here soon. Bye-bye.